Hey, what is up, everybody? This is Dr. Steve Schlinson. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Dental Practice Freedom Radio. And today's episode, I'm going to talk about some of the things that I learned in the last 15 days or so. Actually, it's been almost 3 weeks since I last practiced. My office has been closed. As you guys most likely know, you're probably a dentist. This was an interesting year because I think Christmas was on a Wednesday. And the New Year's kind of fell on that same time period. And my practice is only open Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday right now. So it's been almost 3 solid weeks since I've been in the practice. I have an associate that is currently in. He's kind of like an impromptu associate. He's not a full-time associate, and he's not under contract or anything like that. But he basically covers 1 day a week for me in the last little bit, just to give me some breathing room. And he was in on December 30th. But other than that, my office has been completely shut down. And some of you know, I went on I think it was an 8-day or 8-night, I can't even remember, cruise, leaving from Jersey and getting down to the Bahamas and Haiti and coming back up. And it was a really interesting last few weeks. And I wanted to share some of the things that I have really been thinking about and how it pertains to my practice, how it pertains to my personal life, my coaching business, and what things that you might be able to get out of this. First thing is, it was really good. I talked a little bit. I sent out an email actually today to my email subscribers about getting some clarity. And, late December, early January, we're all setting goals and, not necessarily New Year's resolutions, but it's something where we sit down and we say, okay, where do we want to go this year? What are our goals for this year? What are our goals maybe 3 years from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now? And you're constantly retooling that. And it's very important. That is a very important thing. On the flip side of that, it's also important to understand your current reality. In order to achieve any goals, you have to know 2 things. You have to, and I've talked about this in previous podcast episodes, but this is important. This one, it's one of those ideas that keeps coming to me over and over and over, which made me realize that maybe I haven't been putting as much importance on this as I should in my own life. And that is, you can understand where your goals are, right? I know I want to do this. I know I want to do that. And I'm going through that process as well as actually kind of recategorizing goals for myself and where I want to be. But then you also understand where your current reality is, right? And getting kind of ruthless on that. And, on the cruise, it helped me disconnect enough. If you guys have ever been on cruises, you get an option, right? You can either choose to purchase Wi-Fi on a daily basis, or you just kind of go without Wi-Fi. And this cruise was unique because most of the days we were actually at sea. So we didn't touch land. I wasn't able to put a phone on without paying for it. I said, you know what? I'm just going to go and actually kind of disconnect, stop using social media platforms for a while on a personal level, even on a professional level. I'm not going to check in on my practice. I'm not going to check into my bank. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just disconnecting. And I can't tell you how great that actually was. And, some people would say, well, then you got to get back to reality. That's what I want to talk about, though. It's like, what does that mean, getting back to reality? Because the reality is you get to choose the reality you want. And so when I gave back, I started to reassess, how much time do I actually spend doing stuff that may not be helping me reach these goals that I'm setting? How much time do I spend looking at finances when there might be a better way? And I've started to work in depth for myself, and then hopefully with my clients, with I wouldn't even consider him a financial planner, but kind of a budgeting whiz, and also somebody that inherently understands how to track your dollars and make the most use out of your dollars. And so I've been working with him on creating a system for myself and then also for my clients. So we've been in that process now for a few weeks. And we got back and immediately I started to notice some things in my coaching business that current reality, if I wasn't really crystal clear on that, I would have just missed. Duplicate charges that I wasn't even privy to, and things that are happening in the coaching business that just as an entrepreneur, sometimes that happens. You don't track your finances on a weekly basis or a daily basis. Maybe you do, but I know a lot of dentists that don't. And in fact, I don't necessarily encourage you to be tracking your money on a daily basis. That's a lot of excess energy for something that you may not need to do. But with that being said, you should be doing that, weekly, quarterly. And when we started to break down the numbers, I realized there was a lot of things that I was spending money on that I wasn't even using anymore. That's understanding current reality. And I think you should be checking in on that all the time. So this last few weeks really has kind of helped me prioritize not just where am I going, my goals, but also where am I at, right? Let's be clear on this. Let's really break down in the grand scheme of things, where am I at on this race? And not that it's necessarily a race, it might be more of a journey, but there's certain goals that I really want to accomplish. And they've been nagging at me more so now than probably ever before. I think Carl Jung said it best. It's just like this, it's almost like your unconscious continues to throw at you the most important things you need to be doing. And you need to be in a position to be able to do those things when they continually come at you. A lot of people don't quiet down the noise enough to listen to the unconscious kind of bubble up within you. And I've now been in a position in the last few weeks just to kind of quiet the noise and what's going through my head on a daily basis. Now, you might be listening to this and saying, okay, well, what does this have to do with my practice? It has everything to do with your practice. Because I know dentists, probably more so than any other professional that I've talked to, we have a lot of stuff going on, right? Not only are we the business owner, which most physicians and dermatologists and optometrists, most are not the business owner. So the dentist is the business owner. So we have to put our CEO hat on. We have to do the technical work unless we have associates. If you have associates, though, then you have a totally different issue. We have to, you can't just let your associates go and have no restrictions on them because it's still your business. I mean, you're liable. So you have to kind of pay attention. So even if you're an owner or you're doing the work, there's that component to it. And then we have a lot of obligations as dentists. Making more money doesn't necessarily cure your financial problems. And so we have these financial concerns and we have all these other concerns and we have family concerns and we lump it in. And dentistry, let's be honest, it's very stressful. It's not, that was the other thing I noticed too. I didn't see a lot of people on this cruise that were like stressed out about their business. They're like, yeah, I'm on vacation. We as dentists, we typically don't do that. We're kind of stressed out. And it's one of the reasons that I love doing what I do in coaching is helping dentists move beyond that place. So they can practice dentistry from a point of freedom. So they can do it or not do it if they want to or not want to. And, being on that cruise really kind of consolidated for me some of my thoughts in terms of where am I currently at? What do I want 2020 to look like? And if you're a practice owner, I would encourage you when you're setting goals for your practice, right? This is the whole point of the podcast. When you're setting goals for the practice, it's so easy to set goals right now. This is 2020. We're going to do this. We're going to make this happen. And this is where we're going to go. I would question you and I would have you just take a minute, pause, and spend more time assessing currently where you're at. What's working for you? What's not working for you? Where do you spend your time? Really do an audit of yourself and your current environment and your current reality. Because if you set goals, but you don't understand where you start, that's like plugging in on a GPS system. I want to go to California. And then what is it going to ask you? Well, where are you starting from? And if you don't have that starting point, if you don't understand your current reality, you're going to have a hard time getting to California, right? And that's where most people, I think, struggle when it comes to goal setting. They're very clear on their goals. If you work, especially clients of mine, if they work with me long enough, they get pretty clear on the goal. They understand this is where I want to go. Then the next question is, well, where are you? Where are you starting from? Because that's going to dictate the direction that you have to take to get to your goal. And you might not know all the steps. That's the other part. So now you understand you got to have a goal. You have to understand current reality. Then my clients always ask, well, how do I get started? Like, what's the first step? And then I can't see all the steps along the way. So I get kind of discouraged. And the reality is you don't need to know all the steps along the way. You only need to know the first step. And I just ask clients like, okay, so now that you know where you're going and you know where you're at, what do you think the first step is? And everybody knows the first step. Like they know the first step. They go, okay, well, the first step would be this. Okay, great. Take that step, then do the same thing. Where am I going? Where am I at now? What's the next step? And eventually you'll get there. But if you don't understand where your goals are and you don't understand, and most importantly, you don't understand where current reality is, we could have a whole other episode about, I've talked about current reality, kind of like financial situation and the practice and, maybe how much time do you spend on social media and how much time do you, spend working in your practice versus working in your practice. So I've talked about current reality in that vein. There's also current reality in how emotionally you deal with situations and what your paradigm is. And that current reality is actually even more important than the external current reality that I've talked about. So, we could do a whole other podcast about paradigms as current reality. I don't really want to get into that right now. But the reality is it's very, very important as well. So you need to also assess your internal state. What is my mindset like? We all know we got to have a good mindset, but it's more than that. And my clients that I work with on a personal growth and development basis, and we really dig into the mindset stuff, we understand there's a whole world there that most people don't tap into. It's not just simply talking good to yourself and having a positive outlook that's the driver of results. It's much, much deeper than that. And once you uncover that though and untap it, the world is your oyster. The practice is your oyster. You can do as much or as little as you want, but now you know the drivers to growth. So hopefully you got value out of this. It was nice to be back on this podcast. It's been a few weeks since I've been able to get in front of a computer and actually record one. But I'm back. I got some big plans in 2020, which I'm really excited about. And this podcast is one of those big goals. And just excited to share with you some of the stuff that I'm learning, some of the stuff that I'm working on, some of the things in practice that I think would help grow your practice, especially if you're moving in that wellness-based direction. And see y'all soon. Take care and see you at the next episode. Bye.